The shape of the locusts was like horses prepared for battle. So now he says that they look like horses, which is kind of weird. For in the beginning he said that they were locusts. So they were locusts in the sense of how many and how they worked. They were as scorpions because they were demons, fallen angels that will hurt people by putting something in them. Then it says that they were like horses. Horses, like the first four seals, are connected with war. That's why from the beginning I said these are an army, for they come to wage war against humanity. The shape of the locusts was like horses prepared for battle. On their heads were crowns of something like gold. On their heads were crowns of something like gold. If Yahuhanan was looking at the fallen angels who came down in the time of Noah, which are in the bottomless pit at the moment and will come out in this time, of the ones that fell, there were 20 who were the leaders. So they could have something similar to crowns, for there were 20 of them who were kings among them. Also, in a more physical sense of this, as I was saying, if Yahuhanan was shown the future and he was seeing a lot of the technology that we use nowadays, and even the technology that they have prepared for the end, which they have not used yet, and they are preparing all of that technology in order to fool the world, to fool humanity as extraterrestrials and all of that. Yahuhanan, seeing all of those things, he wouldn't be able to explain unless he used the terms that he knew at the moment of the creatures that he had seen. So, for instance, for Yahuhanan would be very hard to explain what a helicopter is, and that is something that to us is really. So, if we are talking here about, like for instance, an exoskeleton or another type of tool for war that they have prepared nowadays, Yahuhanan would just explain it the way he could. He saw something on their heads as metal, which could be something protecting their heads at war, like a type of helmet, and he called it a crown. And I repeat, that is a way to understand why he would use these terms to explain something that he wouldn't understand, for he was seeing a future time in which a lot of technology would be used, and even technology that we don't know yet. But also, these are entities that had kings over them, which were 20 of them. So that's also a possibility that Yahuhanan is telling us who they are, the ones that are manifesting in this time. On their heads were crowns of something like gold, and their faces were like the faces of men. If they were to use an exoskeleton or a vehicle, which normally has a window or a windshield on the front, even if he were to see a lot of weird things around, he would see in the middle a human face, which would be the person managing or driving the vehicle. So that's why it says their faces were like the faces of men. When it comes to the fallen angels, when they came to this earth, they entered human bodies. Plus, they had heavenly bodies previously, and they also had faces, of course. But I repeat, they came to this earth and came as men. So their faces were like the faces of men. They had hair like woman's hair, and their teeth were like lion's teeth. They had hair like woman's hair, and their teeth were like lions. Once again, this could be connected to the technology being used, the way he is explaining it. When it comes to women's hair, it represents a veil. So it could be connected to the fact that they will veil the humanity with darkness, spiritual darkness, unlike the two witnesses that will actually take away the veil, open their eyes. Also, women's hair is a connection to the spiritual, so this would also mean that they will be spiritual entities and will be connected to something in a higher reality. But when it comes to the literal or physical, it could very well be just whatever they are using that looks like long hair. Also, it's interesting that back in the day, women were not allowed in the army. And one of the things that is being talked about in the United States, at least, is how they are allowing women in the army, and that is, well, is becoming, well, I don't know how to put it, but a lot of people are laughing at that. Other people are supporting it, but the studies have shown that an army that allow, well, when they would make tests of men against a group of men mixed with women, they 100% of the time, the group of males, when it came to battle, would do better. So there are a lot of tests that show that, but they want to be politically correct, so they are allowing women to enter the army, and that is making the army of the United States uh, weaker in terms of battle and other things, which the other countries are going to take advantage of during the next war. So it's interesting that we see here, perhaps he saw women fighting and he just couldn't understand it, and he thought that they were men just having long hair. So they had hair like women's hair, and their teeth were like lion's teeth. Their teeth were like lion's teeth. When it comes to the spiritual, we know that Satan roams the earth looking for whom he may devour. He is like a lion. So this, who have women's hair, which represents the connection to the spiritual, and then it says teeth like lion's teeth. The spirit which with which they are connected is Satan. Also, the lion's teeth is connected to the first beast of Revelation 13 that has a mouth like a lion also. So it could be said that these are following or serving the beast of the bottomless pit, as we already know also, because that's where they came from. And that beast will give influence to the first beast of Revelation 13, and then enter the body that will be made for it in Revelation 13 by the second beast, the false prophet. So they had hair like women's hair, and their teeth were like lion's teeth. And they had breastplates like breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was like the sound of chariots with many horses running into battle. So I already mentioned like 3 or 4 possibilities of how this could be fulfilled in a way that people wouldn't realize that is something spiritual, like an army of humans being possessed, like some supposed advanced uh, something made to help people get better in health, claiming to be that, yet bringing a lot of pain to them, torment, as we saw for 5 months. Another possibility, though that is the least, the one that I leave at the end for. I'm just saying it just because what we had seen already during the past couple of years, and for what we've seen with the vaccine. Another one would be the technology used for war, with men inside managing it, like it said that it had a human face, yet the rest of things is completely different from a human. But besides all of those things that I have already mentioned previously, since these spirits are the fallen angels and evil spirits that, well, the fallen angels that came down in the time of Noah and made hybrids, it is interesting that there was a type of hybrid that is pretty much what Yahushua is describing here. So there were several type of hybrids in, well, back in the day, in the time of Noah, and even afterwards. The Nephilim made hybrids. The fallen angels came down and not only made the hybrids, the mix of man and animal, man and angel, they also mixed men with animals, and also different types of animals. with each other. So the manticore. So back in the day, there were several type of hybrids. Like I said, the fallen angels came down and they mixed different types of animals, and they came up with pretty much those of mythology, which were found in several cultures and for a long time. And one of those is called the manticore, if you want to research it. And the manticore is pretty much what Yahuhanan is talking about here. So, if they were to appear as the other possibility that I mentioned as extraterrestrials, they perhaps could uh, pull it off because of their appearance if they come as hybrids. We know that hybrids existed. We know that the times of the Son of Man will be like the times of Noah. So we could expect it. We shouldn't be surprised. Although, what would surprise me is the fact that people will still not get it. For as we read in Revelation, even after the two witnesses die and resurrect, people will remain as nothing. They will continue to worship the idols, they will continue to worship demons and all of that. So they won't realize that they are going through something spiritual, they're going through something biblical, as they would call it. So that would be my surprise of something so crazy, so out of this world, as they would see it, something so similar to the movies, and they would still claim that it is um, a natural thing. So that's why it would really surprise me, but it shouldn't, for we know that they were real, the hybrids, and the Almighty told us that the end times will be like the beginning, so we could expect hybrids. My point was that I would expect them a little later in the last week of Daniel, but because of the way that Yahuhanan explains these creatures, the way he gives details regarding them, when we take in account each of those details, it seems to be a manticore what he's talking about, or an army of manticores. And let me read from here. It says the manticore or manticore is a Persian legendary creature similar to the Egyptian Sphinx that proliferated in Western European medieval art as well. It has the head of a human. We just saw in Revelation 9, it says that they had a human face. It has the head of a human, the body of a lion. It said that they had lion's teeth. And lions have long hair, like the hair of a woman. And a tail of venomous spines, similar to porcupine quills. So, like a scorpion. They even say it is a mix of lion and scorpion, while other depictions have it with the tail of a scorpion, like I was saying. So there are some accounts that the spines can be shot like arrows, thus making the manticore a lethal predator. It devours its prey whole using its triple rows of teeth, leaving no traces of its victims, including bones behind. Some sources identify the manticore with the mantiger, while others regard the mantiger as a quite different creature. The name manticore literally means man-eater, but we saw that they are not going to be given authority to kill men, just to hurt them. And if they were to be manticores, they would hurt them with the power that they are given on their tails, which are as scorpions, just like Yahuhanan mentioned, and just like they were depicted back in the day. So it would be very amazing. Like I said, it shouldn't surprise us. It is very possible. Yet I would expect people to see that and turn to Yahweh immediately. That's pretty much the point of those events, yet people won't. For Yahweh already saw it, wrote it down, and told us about it. And it is kind of crazy to think about how humanity as a whole will reject the Most High, even going after all of that. 8. They had hair like women's hair, and their teeth were like lions' teeth, and they had breastplates like breastplates of iron. This is connected to what I was saying regarding an exoskeleton, something that would protect them in war. And the sound of their wings, they had wings. Manticores were also mentioned with wings. Not only what I just mentioned, there are some other manticores that had wings. So the whole thing that Yahuanan is explaining here seems to be manticores. Yet there are other ways in which it could be fulfilled. So, and they had breastplates like breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was like the sound of chariots with many horses running into battle. They had tails like scorpions, and there were stings in their tails. Their power was to hurt men 5 months. Their power was to hurt men 5 months. Manticore. Hurt men. In this case, they wouldn't be able to kill them or eat them, just hurt them, torture them for 5 months. And I repeat it once again and again, because the whole of this fifth trumpet, the way he describes these entities, they seem to be hybrids, manticores. And I hope, if you guys want, go and research a little bit about that. Like I said, Yahweh told us that these things would happen, yet he also told us that people won't believe, won't understand they are in the end. So I tend to see the prophecies being fulfilled in a way that people wouldn't realize what it is. So in a more hidden and more metaphorical way. So that's why I mentioned all of the other options with technology, with supposed medicine, with the possession of an army, etc. They had tails like scorpions, and there were stings in their tails. Their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. And they had as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name is in Hebrew Abaddon, but in Greek he has the name Apollyon. Abaddon means destroyer. Apollyon means the same, but in Greek. Apollyon, which is very similar to Apollo, of course, is a name given to the sun god, which is worshipped in Catholicism with the name Jesus Christ. And they claim that is the Messiah of scriptures, yet all their images, all their false teachings lead to that false God. Also, when I started, well, long time ago, years ago, when I started getting into the book of Revelation, and I found out about Samael, which I already mentioned earlier. When I read this, the first thing that I thought was Samael, just because of the fact that he is the first angel to have fallen, and mainly because of the false teaching, or perhaps not a teaching, but the false view that a lot of people have in Christianity, that Satan is in hell with a trident and like hurting people there and stuff like that. Yet that is not so. Satan is on earth, like I already said, like a lion, looking for whom he may devour. So Samael is on earth trying to destroy people. Lucifer is the prince of the power of the air, so he is in the second heaven, trying to fool people into worshiping him. And Azazel, which is the third Satan, is the one we found in Enoch, and we find that he is the one who is guilty of all the sins of the world, for he taught people how to multiply sin on this earth. So he was condemned to the bottomless pit to be there until the end of time. So then we realize that Azazel is another name for Abaddon. So Abaddon is what we see in the book of Enoch as Azael, who became Azazel of Leviticus 16. Who is Abaddon? And I ended up confirming that a few weeks ago when I got the Israelite Samaritan version of the Torah, or the Samaritan version of the Torah in Hebrew and in English, and seeing some of the commentary of it, and well, all the things that are within. Well, there were two books that I bought. It is said that the Samaritans called Azazel Abaddon, so they had the teaching to believe that Azazel is Abaddon. So that was a confirmation of that which we see here. So the king of this army, the king of the army of the fallen angels that will come to torture people, and then, as we know also, will be the one who will influence the beast in order to kill the two witnesses, is Azazel, Abaddon. Azazel, you can find him in Leviticus 16. I mean, the name is found there. It doesn't explain who he is. We need to read the book of Enoch for that. So, and they had as king over them the Malach of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, but in Greek he has the name Apollyon. So that is the fallen angel that they worship. That is the fallen angel for whom they're going to open the door, the stargate, for that fallen angel to come out. So a fallen angel will come down and will give the key to humans, pretty much information, knowledge, for them to open a gate, that of the bottomless pit, so that the angel that has been trapped there by the decision of the Almighty may be freed into this reality. So Yahweh has protected this reality by imprisoning this Malach, this fallen angel. Yahweh has put in jail Azazel, and humans are going to open the gate for him, and he's going to come out and cause desolation in this earth like never before. But that's whom they worship, for whom they're going to create a body, so that he may manifest as the God of this earth.